Introduction. The Panama Canal is one of the most strategically important waterways in the world, serving as a critical link between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Since its construction in 1914, the canal has played a pivotal role in shaping global trade, connecting continents, and reducing the time and costs associated with maritime travel. Approximately 6% of global trade passes through this man-made marvel, underscoring its influence on international commerce and geopolitics. Historically, the Panama Canal has been a symbol of engineering achievement and a site of political struggle. For much of the 20th century, the United States controlled the canal, which became a source of economic benefit and strategic advantage for the U.S. However, Panamanians long resented this control, viewing it as a violation of their sovereignty. This tension culminated in the 1977 Torrijos-Carter Treaties, which set the stage for Panama to regain full control of the canal by the end of 1999. This transition marked a turning point in Panama's history, transforming the canal into a symbol of national pride and independence. In recent years, the story of the Panama Canal has taken on new dimensions, particularly with the rise of China as a global economic and geopolitical power. Since Panama established diplomatic relations with China in 2017, Chinese investments and economic ties in the region have grown significantly. Chinese companies have invested billions of dollars into infrastructure projects near the canal and have taken control of critical port operations at both ends of the waterway. These developments have raised concerns among U.S. policymakers, who fear that China's growing presence in the canal region could undermine American interests and destabilize the balance of power in the Western Hemisphere. This essay explores the economic, political, and geopolitical aspects of the Panama Canal, with a focus on China's growing influence and its implications for global trade. It also examines how the canal has evolved as a strategic asset, from its early days under U.S. control to its current role as a focal point in the competition between the U.S. and China. Historical background, from construction to sovereignty. The idea of building a canal through the Isthmus of Panama dates back centuries. During the 16th century, Spanish explorers recognized the potential of the narrow strip of land as a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. However, technological limitations and political instability delayed the realization of this vision. In the late 19th century, the French, led by Ferdinand de Lesseps, attempted to construct a canal in Panama. Despite their success in building the Suez Canal, the French effort in Panama was a disaster. The project faced severe engineering challenges. Diseases like malaria and yellow fever claimed the lives of thousands of workers, and financial mismanagement ultimately led to its collapse. The United States revived the project in the early 20th century under President Theodore Roosevelt. In 1903, the U.S. signed the Hay-Bunau-Varilla Treaty with Panama, granting the U.S. control over a 10-mile-wide canal zone in exchange for $10 million and an annual payment. Construction began in 1904, and by 1914 the Panama Canal was completed. The canal was an engineering triumph, featuring a system of locks that allowed ships to pass through the mountainous terrain of Panama. While the canal brought immense economic and strategic benefits to the United States, it also became a source of resentment for Panamanians. The U.S. controlled the canal and its surrounding zone as if it were American territory, creating a stark divide between the wealth of the canal zone and the poverty of the rest of Panama. Over time, Panamanians demanded greater control over the canal, leading to protests and nationalist movements. A turning point came in 1977 with the signing of the Torrijos-Carter Treaties. These agreements, negotiated by Panamanian leader General Omar Torrijos and U.S. President Jimmy Carter, set a timeline for the gradual transfer of the canal to Panama, which was completed in 1999. The treaties also included a neutrality clause, ensuring that the canal would remain open to ships from all nations even in times of conflict. Economic importance of the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is a key artery of global trade, facilitating the movement of goods between major markets in Asia, the Americas, and Europe. By providing a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, the canal significantly reduces shipping times and costs. For example, a ship traveling from New York to San Francisco saves nearly 8,000 miles by using the canal instead of sailing around South America. The canal contributes billions of dollars to the global economy each year. It handles approximately 6% of world maritime trade, including vital commodities such as oil, grain, and manufactured goods. The canal is particularly important for U.S. trade, as it facilitates around 40% of U.S. seaborne container traffic. This makes the canal not only an economic asset, but also a strategic one, as any disruptions to its operations could have far-reaching consequences for global supply chains. Since Panama took full control of the canal in 1999, it has become a major source of revenue for the country. The Panama Canal Authority, a government agency, manages the canal and collects tolls from ships passing through. These tolls generate billions of dollars annually, contributing to Panama's economic growth and funding public services. In recent years, Panama has invested heavily in modernizing the canal to accommodate larger ships. The Panama Canal Expansion Project, completed in 2016, added a new set of locks, allowing the canal to handle post-Panamax vessels that are too large for the original locks. This expansion has increased the canal's capacity and competitiveness, further cementing its role as a vital link in global trade. China's growing influence in the Panama Canal. Since establishing diplomatic relations with Panama in 2017, China has significantly increased its economic and strategic presence in the canal region. Chinese companies have invested billions of dollars in infrastructure projects near the canal, including ports, energy facilities, and transportation networks. These investments are part of China's broader Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, which aims to enhance global trade routes and expand China's influence across key regions. One notable example of Chinese investment is the $900 million spent by Shanghai Gorges, a Chinese conglomerate, on energy-related facilities near the canal. Additionally, the Landbridge Group, another Chinese company, acquired control of Margarita Island, home to Panama's largest port on the Atlantic side. Chinese firms also operate critical ports at both ends of the canal, strengthening their operational presence in the region. China's influence in the Panama Canal is not limited to investments. The country is also a major user of the canal, accounting for 21.4% of the cargo volume transiting the waterway as of 2024. This makes China the second largest participant in canal traffic, highlighting the strategic importance of the canal to China's trade routes. While Panama has benefited economically from Chinese investments, these developments have raised concerns among U.S. officials. Some fear that China's growing presence in the canal region could give it undue influence over a critical global choke point. U.S. policymakers, including Senator Marco Rubio, have called on Panama to limit Chinese involvement in the canal, arguing that it poses a threat to regional stability and U.S. interests. Geopolitical implications of China's involvement. China's growing influence in the Panama Canal is part of its broader strategy to expand its economic and geopolitical presence in Latin America. By investing in critical infrastructure and strengthening diplomatic ties, China has positioned itself as a key player in a region traditionally dominated by the United States. For the U.S., China's involvement in the canal represents a potential challenge to its influence in the Western Hemisphere. The canal has long been viewed as a strategic asset for the U.S., given its importance for trade and military operations. Increased Chinese control over ports and infrastructure near the canal raises concerns about the potential for Beijing to use its economic leverage for geopolitical purposes. Moreover, China's presence in Panama is symbolic of its growing ambitions in Latin America. Through its investments and trade partnerships, China has gained access to vital resources, markets, and strategic locations. This has led to fears that China's influence could undermine U.S. interests and destabilize the balance of power in the region. The Panamanian government has sought to balance its relationships with both China and the United States, emphasizing the neutrality of the canal. However, the growing competition between the two powers has placed Panama in a delicate position as it seeks to maximize the economic benefits of Chinese investment while maintaining its commitments to existing treaties and international norms. Conclusion. The Panama Canal is a vital link in global trade and a focal point of economic and geopolitical competition. From its construction under U.S. control to its return to Panama in 1999, the canal's history has been shaped by struggles over sovereignty and the quest for economic benefit. In recent years, China's growing influence in the canal region has added a new layer of complexity, raising questions about the future of this critical waterway. While Chinese investments have brought economic benefits to Panama, they have also sparked concerns about the potential implications for regional stability and U.S. interests. As the competition between the U.S. and China continues to escalate, the Panama Canal remains at the center of strategic discussions, reflecting its enduring importance in the global economy and international relations.